On Wednesday, December 9th, just after 5 p.m., the corridors of our school felt like long tiled canals, emptied of their daily rush. I'd stayed for art club, then volunteered to help the teacher arrange supplies in the second-floor storeroom mostly. To avoid going home to a small apartment and an even smaller argument waiting for me. The air held that end-of-day smell, pencil shavings, old rubber saws, the faint sweetness of cheap soap. On the way to the storeroom, I passed the lockers. They were dented, painted a school blue that had faded to sea. Most jammed, some never opened. Everyone ended up carrying their stuff anyway. As I walked, a quick knuckle rap sounded from inside one. 3 knocks, I stopped. The corridor was empty from stairwell to stairwell. I rapped back as a joke 2 knocks. Silence. I laughed at myself and kept going. Then it came again. 3 measured taps, not hard, from locker 2 to 17. I knew it because the number plate hung crooked. I put my ear to the thin metal. It was cool, salt-tanged from someone's lunchtime sweat dried by the fan. Hello? I said, which is absurd, but the word came out on its own. 3 taps again. Not frantic patient. The sound made a tiny echo inside the locker, like a spoon clinking inside a thermos. I tried the lock. It had no padlock. The latch was stuck. I tugged. It wouldn't budge. Who's there? I asked, still half playing along. A girl's voice answered, muffled, almost clear. It's cold. I stepped back so fast my shoulder banged the lockers opposite. Who are you? I asked. I forgot my sweater, she said. The words sounded old somehow, like something repeated many times. Miss said I could get it. Wait, I said. The same way you say wait to an elevator. I sprinted to the storeroom, grabbed the ring of custodian keys from the hook. I shouldn't have, I know, and rushed back. I tried 3 keys before one slid into the latch of 2 to 17 and turned with a dry click. I pulled. The door stuck a moment, then gave all at once, striking the adjacent locker with a bang. Inside, a jumble of notebooks with soft corners, a faded scarf, a half-eaten pack of biscuits long fossilized, and air so still it felt like the inside of a jar. No one. The vertical space was too narrow for even a small child to hide beyond the obvious. I touched the back panel. It felt slightly warm, which was wrong. The corridor was chilly. I closed the door slowly until it nearly sealed, then spoke into the seam. Hello? I said. I opened it. All I heard was the fan in the next room and a faraway car horn. Then, close, right by my ear, between metal and metal. Thank you. The words were almost a breath, the way you speak under a blanket. I jolted back and the door swung shut. For a full minute I stood there, keys in my hand, fighting the cold thrill running over my scalp. When my heartbeat eased, I told myself what any of us would. Old buildings hold sound. The ventilation could shape a whisper. A friend could be playing a trick, someone small, ducking around the corner. I forced myself to laugh and kept walking. The storeroom needed arranging. The art teacher would return for her bag. In the storeroom, I stacked paint bottles by color. The light was a bad yellow, flickering at the edges, and the smell of tempera paint was thick enough to taste. I found a box of photographs, black and white, class pictures from the 90s, rows of faces in uniforms under pigeon-baffled ceilings. I stopped on a photo labeled Class 2A, second graders with expressions too solemn for their size. One girl in the front row wore a scarf exactly like the one in 2 to 17. My skin prickled, then settled. The art teacher arrived and startled when she saw me holding the box. Oh, she said, those. They never threw them out. The old wing used to house primary years. She paused, weighing whether to say more. There was a fuss once, she said eventually. A child hid during dismissal and couldn't be found. Everyone looked. She turned up later at home. It was nothing. She smiled without showing teeth. Don't look at those too long. They make you think the years are stacked, not gone. As we left, I told her about the knocking, half joking, expecting an eye roll. Instead, she touched the locker with her fingers like a forehead. This one? She asked, not surprised. They all knock sometimes, she said. The metal flexes when the temperature changes. She tried the latch. It stuck. You managed to open it? She asked. I showed her the key. She glanced at it, then back at the locker. Put the keys back, she said, kind but firm. Lockers are where students keep small parts of themselves. You don't want to let those parts loose by accident. That night, at home, the sound of 3 gentle knocks followed me into dreams. Not threatening asking. The next morning, I reached school early and walked past 2 to 17. The door had been taped with a strip of masking tape crossing its seam. On the tape, in a neat utilitarian hand, "Do not use." I think the art teacher put it there. For days it was quiet. Exams rose ahead like a wall. The world shrank to flashcards and weak tea. One afternoon, during a power cut when the corridor was dim as a basement, I felt a tug on my school bag as I passed the lockers. A hook? A loose strap caught? I turned. Nothing. Then came 3 soft taps, not from 2 to 17 this time, but from the locker beside it, 216. And then, faintly from down the line, another 3 from 2 to 19, like someone walking inside the row, knocking politely as they moved. Stop, I said out loud. A pair of juniors down the hallway looked at me and snickered. I pressed my palm to 2 to 16. Warm again, like a small animal had been sleeping there. I whispered, "Are you stuck?" The answer was a rush of breath against the metal, the way a mouth fogs glass. Then, very soft, "My mother will be angry, please." I opened 2 to 16. Inside was a small composition notebook with childish writing on the cover. Sama, 2A. The date on the first page was from a decade ago. The drawing showed a bus with square wheels and a girl with a scarf. I closed it carefully and put it back. "Do you need me too?" "What?" I asked. No sound came. Just a feeling of expectation, like a held breath waiting for a cue. I went to the office. "Is there a student named Sama who used to be here?" I asked the receptionist. She glanced at me, then at the computer, then at me again. "We don't give out old student information," she said. "Why?" I said something about a lost notebook. She softened. "If it's found, we put it in the lost and found," she said, gesturing to a plastic bin by the wall. Scarves, tiffin boxes, half a pair of shoes. I wanted to leave the notebook there and be done. Instead, I returned to 2 to 16, slid the notebook in my bag, and whispered, "I'll put this where someone can see." As I walked away, 3 quick taps sounded behind me, closer together than before. Gratitude? Warning? The rhythm changed the shape of my breathing without my permission. I placed the notebook on top of the lost and found bin. During the last period, I peeked out of class to see if it remained. It did. After school, it was gone. I asked the receptionist. She frowned. "What notebook?" She didn't remember seeing it. The bin looked the same but less. I felt ridiculous, like a magician who can't repeat a trick. That evening, as I locked my front door, I heard 3 faint taps behind me. On wood this time, interior, close. I turned the knob. The hallway was empty. A neighbor's TV murmured. I stood there silly and pale, my breath fogging in an air that shouldn't fog. The next morning at school, 2 to 17's tape had been peeled back and stuck crookedly across 2 to 18. A small handprint smudged the locker door like someone pressed there while tired. The knocks haven't stopped. They come now and then from different places, like someone who learned that doors will open if you ask politely. When they sound, I pause and place my palm against metal, the way you check a fever, and I say quietly, Feeling foolish, I hear you. Sometimes the metal is cool, sometimes warm. Sometimes it's just metal. On days when I am brave, I knock back. Not to invite anything, not to play. Just to say that someone is on both sides of the years stacked together, listening, and that. Maybe that's enough to let the small lost parts find their way home.